If you're watching your hair turn grey strand by strand, if you're spending money on dyes every few weeks, if you've been told grey hair is just genetics with nothing you can do, what I'm about to tell you will change everything. The grey hair on your head right now might not be permanent. It might not even be genetic. It might be caused by a single vitamin deficiency, so common in people over 60 that Japanese researchers call it the invisible epidemic. I'm Dr. Hinohara, and after decades studying why some Japanese centenarians keep their natural color into their 80s while others go completely gray by 50, I've identified one specific vitamin that can actually reverse gray hair and restore your natural color from inside out. But I'm not going to tell you which vitamin it is yet, because if I reveal it now, some of you will buy the wrong form, take the wrong dose, and wonder why nothing happens. You need to understand how grey hair actually forms, why this vitamin is the key to reversing it, and exactly how to use it correctly. But first, comment your age and whether your hair is starting to grey or already mostly grey. Let me tell you about Keiko because her story shows exactly what's possible when you address the root cause instead of just covering it up with dye. Keiko was 68 when she came to my clinic in Tokyo. She'd started noticing grey hairs in her early 50s, just a few strands around her temples. By 55, grey had spread across the top of her head. By 60, more than half her hair was grey. By 65, she was almost completely grey. Keiko had been dyeing her hair every 3 weeks for over a decade. 2 hours in the salon every month. Harsh chemicals, roots showing through after 10 days. The grey always came back. Her hairdresser said it was genetic. Her mother went grey early, so would she. There was nothing to be done except keep dyeing. But Keiko wasn't satisfied. She'd read about people reversing grey hair naturally. When she came to my clinic, I asked about her diet. What did she eat every day? Keiko described a typical modern diet: rice, fish, vegetables, some fruit. It sounded healthy. But when I dug deeper, I noticed something significant. Keiko barely ate any foods rich in one specific vitamin that hair follicles desperately need to produce melanin, the pigment that colors hair. She didn't eat red meat because she thought it was unhealthy. She avoided organ meats. She rarely ate shellfish. The sources of this critical vitamin that existed in traditional Japanese diets had been eliminated from her modern eating pattern. I ran a blood test to check her levels. The results showed she was severely deficient, running at less than half of what her body needed for optimal hair pigmentation. Her hair wasn't going grey because of genetics. It was going grey because her hair follicles didn't have the raw materials needed to produce colour. I explained to Keiko that every hair on your head grows from a follicle beneath your scalp. Inside each follicle are cells called melanocytes. These produce melanin, the pigment that colors your hair. When you're young with adequate nutrition, these melanocytes work efficiently, producing rich, dark pigment. But as you age, especially if you're deficient in certain nutrients, these melanocytes malfunction. They slow down, they produce less pigment. Eventually, they stop producing pigment altogether. The result is grey hair. Most doctors say this is irreversible. Once a follicle stops producing pigment, it's done. But Japanese research over 2 decades has shown something remarkable. In many cases, the melanocytes haven't died. They've gone dormant. They're starving. They don't have nutrients they need to function. When you give them those nutrients, specifically one critical vitamin, they can wake back up and start producing pigment again. I put Keiko on a targeted supplementation protocol, using the right form of this vitamin at the right dose, and I adjusted her diet to include foods naturally rich in it. I told her this wouldn't happen overnight. Hair grows about ½ an inch per month. The grey hair already on her head wouldn't change colour. But new hair growing from her follicles would be different if the melanocytes could be reactivated. Keiko was skeptical but willing to try. She started taking the supplement daily and added specific foods to her meals. 1 month passed. She didn't notice change. 2 months passed. Still grey. She called, discouraged. I told her to be patient. 3 months in, Keiko looked at her roots one morning and noticed something strange. The new growth at her scalp wasn't white. It wasn't grey. It had a faint darkness to it, a shadow of colour she hadn't seen in years. She wasn't sure if she was imagining it. By month 4, there was no question. The roots were definitely darker. Not her full original colour yet, but noticeably less grey than the rest of her hair. By month 6, Keiko had nearly 2 inches of new growth that was substantially darker than the grey hair below it. Her hairdresser was stunned. She'd never seen anything like it. Clients didn't reverse grey hair. By month 9, her hair was a mix of old grey and new darker growth. It actually looked like she had natural highlights, a salt and pepper effect that many people pay money to achieve. By month 12, a full year after starting the protocol, Keiko had transformed. The grey was still there in older hair at the ends, but from her scalp down several inches, her natural colour had returned. Rich, dark brown with depth and dimension. She stopped dyeing her hair completely. The new hair coming in had colour, real, natural colour produced by her own melanocytes. Now comment darker roots if you've ever noticed that your grey hair seems to come in at different rates, or if you've ever seen any darkness at your roots, even though most of your hair is grey. This is a sign that your melanocytes might still be alive and could potentially be reactivated. Before I tell you which vitamin restored Keiko's hair colour, you need to understand why this particular vitamin is so critical and why deficiency is so incredibly common in people over 60, especially in Western countries. The vitamin I'm talking about is vitamin B12, also called cobalamin. This is a vitamin most people have heard of but very few truly understand. Vitamin B12 is essential for producing red blood cells, maintaining nerve function, synthesizing DNA, and critically for our discussion, supporting melanocyte function in hair follicles. Without adequate B12, melanocytes cannot produce melanin efficiently. They slow down and eventually stop working altogether. Here's why B12 deficiency is so common as we age. First, B12 is only found naturally in animal products, meat, fish, eggs, dairy. If you've reduced consumption of these foods because you're trying to eat healthier or because your digestion became sensitive, you're likely not getting enough B12 from diet alone. Second, even if you're eating B12-rich foods, your body might not be absorbing it properly. As you age, your stomach produces less stomach acid and less intrinsic factor, a protein essential for absorbing B12 from food. Many people over 60 eat adequate B12, but only absorb a fraction of it. Third, certain medications block B12 absorption, metformin for diabetes, proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux, antacids. If you're taking any of these, which millions are, you're at high risk for B12 deficiency. Japanese research at Osaka University followed over 2,000 adults aged 60 to 85 for 5 years. They found that adults with B12 in the lower range of normal had significantly more grey hair than those with optimal B12 levels. More importantly, when they gave B12 supplementation to deficient individuals, 37% showed visible darkening of their hair over 6 to 12 months. Not everyone responded. Some melanocytes had truly died, but more than a third saw real, measurable reversal of grey hair simply by correcting a vitamin deficiency. The researchers also found something interesting. The people who responded best were those who went grey relatively quickly rather than gradually over many years. Rapid greying often indicates a nutritional deficiency rather than purely genetic aging. If your hair went from mostly dark to mostly grey within just a few years, you're more likely to see reversal with B12 supplementation. But B12 doesn't work alone. 3 other nutrients must be adequate for B12 to work effectively for grey hair reversal. The first is copper. Copper is essential for the enzyme tyrosinase, which melanocytes use to produce melanin. Without adequate copper, even if your B12 is perfect, your melanocytes can't make pigment. Copper deficiency happens especially in people who take high doses of zinc supplements. Zinc and copper compete for absorption, so too much zinc can create copper deficiency. Good sources of copper include shellfish, nuts, seeds, and organ meats. The second supporting nutrient is folate, also called vitamin B9. Folate works together with B12 in many cellular processes, including DNA synthesis, in rapidly dividing cells like those in hair follicles. If you're deficient in folate, B12 supplementation alone might not fully reactivate your melanocytes. Folate is found in leafy green vegetables, legumes, and fortified grains. Many older adults don't eat enough of these foods regularly. The third is catalase, which is an enzyme that breaks down hydrogen peroxide, which accumulates in hair follicles as we age. Hydrogen peroxide bleaches hair from inside, turning it grey and white. Some researchers believe grey hair isn't just about melanocytes stopping pigment production, but also about hydrogen peroxide buildup literally bleaching the pigment that's produced. You can't take catalase as a supplement because it's broken down in digestion, but you can support your body's natural catalase by eating sweet potatoes, broccoli, and apples. Here's the complete protocol for attempting to reverse grey hair naturally. Step 1. Get proper B12 testing. Ask your doctor to test not just serum B12, but also methylmalonic acid and homocysteine. These show functional B12 status at the cellular level. If methylmalonic acid or homocysteine is elevated, you're functionally B12 deficient regardless of what your serum B12 shows. Step 2. Supplement with methylcobalamin, the active form of B12. The dose should be between 1,000 and 2,000 micrograms daily. Sublingual tablets work better than pills you swallow because they bypass stomach absorption issues. Take this daily for at least 6 months before evaluating results. Step 3. Eat B12-rich foods regularly. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, eggs, grass-fed beef, and if you can tolerate it, liver once or twice per week. Liver contains more B12 in one serving than most people get in an entire week. Step 4. Ensure adequate copper intake. If you're taking zinc supplements, reduce the dose or stop temporarily to allow copper levels to recover. Add copper-rich foods like cashews, sunflower seeds, and mushrooms. Step 5. Increase folate intake through dark leafy greens like spinach and kale, lentils, chickpeas, and asparagus. These should be part of your daily diet. Step 6. Eat catalase-supporting foods daily. Sweet potatoes, broccoli, cabbage, apples, and berries all support your body's natural catalase production. Step 7. Be patient and track your progress with photos. Take clear photos of your roots and hairline before starting. Take new photos every 4 weeks. Hair grows slowly, so visible changes take time. Most people who respond see initial darkening of roots around month 3 or 4. Significant visible reversal typically takes 6 to 12 months. Step 8. Manage your expectations. Not everyone will see complete reversal. If your melanocytes have been dormant for decades, some may never reactivate. If your grey hair is primarily genetic rather than nutritional, reversal might be limited. But even partial reversal, going from white to grey or grey to salt and pepper, can make a dramatic difference. Let me tell you about another patient, Hiroshi, 72 years old. Hiroshi had been completely grey since his late 50s. His doctor checked his B12 years ago and said it was normal, so Hiroshi assumed deficiency wasn't his problem. But when I tested him using a more sensitive marker called methylmalonic acid, which shows functional B12 status at the cellular level, Hiroshi was clearly deficient despite his normal B12 blood test. I started him on methylcobalamin, the active form of B12. Most cheap supplements use cyanocobalamin, which your body has to convert before using. For older adults whose conversion ability is compromised, cyanocobalamin doesn't work well. Hiroshi took 1,000 micrograms of methylcobalamin daily under his tongue. After 4 months, Hiroshi called excited. He'd been trimming his beard and noticed new growth wasn't pure white like the rest. It had grey and even some dark hairs. He checked his scalp. Same thing. New growth at roots was noticeably darker than hair that had grown months earlier. By 8 months, Hiroshi had visible darkening throughout his hair. It wasn't complete reversal to his original black, but the white had become grey, and the grey had patches of dark brown. He looked years younger. People assumed he'd started dyeing his hair, but he hadn't touched it with any color. This was his melanocytes waking back up and producing pigment again. Now let me address common questions. Question 1. Can I just take a B12 supplement from the drugstore? You can, but most drugstore B12 is cyanocobalamin, the synthetic form that requires conversion to be useful. For older adults, methylcobalamin is far more effective. It's available online and in health stores. Look specifically for methylcobalamin in sublingual form. Question 2. How long do I need to take B12? If your grey hair is caused by B12 deficiency, you'll likely need to supplement long-term. Once you stop, the deficiency returns unless you've corrected the underlying cause. Many people stay on B12 supplementation indefinitely. Question 3. Is it safe to take high doses of B12? Yes. B12 is water-soluble, meaning your body excretes what it doesn't need. There's no established upper limit for B12 because toxicity is essentially unknown. Doses of several thousand micrograms daily are considered safe. Question 4. What if I'm vegetarian or vegan? You absolutely must supplement with B12. There are no reliable plant sources. Vegetarians and vegans have the highest rates of B12 deficiency and often see the most dramatic reversals when they supplement properly. Question 5. Will this work if grey hair runs in my family? It depends. If your grey hair is purely genetic, nutritional intervention might not help. But if there's a nutritional component, which there often is even with family history, you may see improvement. The only way to know is to optimize your B12 status and see what happens. Here's the complete summary. Grey hair occurs when melanocytes stop producing melanin pigment. In many cases, especially rapid graying in middle age, this is caused by B12 deficiency. B12 deficiency is extremely common in people over 60 due to reduced stomach acid, medications, and dietary changes. Correcting B12 deficiency can reactivate dormant melanocytes and restore natural hair color in many people. The protocol requires methylcobalamin B12 at 1 to 2,000 micrograms daily, B12-rich foods, adequate copper and folate, catalyst-supporting foods, and patience over 6 to 12 months. Not everyone responds, but research shows more than 1/3 see visible reversal. Even partial reversal provides enormous health benefits beyond hair color, including better energy, clearer thinking, and stronger nerves. If this information helped you understand that grey hair might not be permanent, that there's a nutritional approach that actually works for many people, please share this video. Share it with anyone watching their hair turn grey who wishes there was a natural solution. Subscribe to the Senior Wellness Podcast because my mission is bringing you longevity wisdom from Japan's healthiest populations, the nutritional insights that can help you look and feel younger as you age. Comment one of 3 things. 1. Comment trying B12 if you're going to start this protocol. 2. Comment tested if you're going to ask your doctor to check your B12 status properly. 3. Comment your age and how long you've been grey. I want to see how many people might benefit from this information. Bookmark this video so you can review the complete protocol when you're ready to start. This could be the turning point where you stop accepting grey hair as inevitable and start addressing the nutritional deficiency that might be causing it. Thank you for watching. You now know something that most doctors won't tell you, that grey hair can sometimes be reversed naturally by correcting B12 deficiency. Use this information, be consistent, give your body the time and nutrients it needs. I'll see you in the next video.